Have you ever filled up your gas tank on Monday for $3.50 a gallon, then driven past the same station on Friday and seen it jump to $4.20? It's maddening, right? You start wondering if the gas station owner is just messing with you. Like they're sitting in the back office watching you pull in, rubbing their hands together like a cartoon villain. But here's what nobody tells you about gas prices. That volatility, that wild swing that makes your wallet hurt, it's not random. It's not even really about greed, despite what you might think. Here at Simple Money, we've spent years breaking down complex financial topics. And today, I'm going to reveal why gas prices swing more dramatically than almost any other thing you buy regularly. And more importantly, why understanding this can actually change how you think about your entire financial life. Because here's the thing. Gas prices are a perfect window into how modern economics actually works. And once you understand what's really happening, you'll never look at a gas station price sign the same way again. So let's talk about why your morning commute costs wildly different amounts depending on which week we're talking about. Most people think gas prices are volatile because oil companies are greedy, or because of taxes, or because of some conspiracy. And look, I get it. When you're standing at the pump watching those numbers spin faster than your salary grows, it's easy to feel like someone's taking advantage of you. But here's what's really happening. Gas prices are volatile because of a perfect storm of factors that most people never think about. Factors that are baked into the very nature of how oil works as a product. Think about almost anything else you buy regularly. Your morning coffee, your Netflix subscription, your groceries. Sure, prices go up over time, but they go up gradually, predictably. You don't walk into Starbucks on Monday and pay $5 for a latte, then come back Wednesday and suddenly it's $8. But with gas, that happens all the time. The average gas price can swing 20, 30, even 50 cents in a single week. That's a 10 to 15% change in price in just days. Imagine if your rent did that. Imagine if your landlord could just randomly decide that this month your rent is 15% higher. Then next month, it drops 10%. Then the month after, it spikes 20%. You'd lose your mind, right? But with gas, we've just accepted it as normal. We shrug, we complain, we maybe try to time our fill-ups, but we don't really understand why it's happening. And that's the problem. Because when you don't understand why something happens, you can't make smart decisions about it. You just react. You feel victimized by forces beyond your control. So let me break down the real reasons gas prices swing so wildly. And I promise, by the end of this, you're going to see the entire economy differently. The first reason is what I call the crude reality factor. Here's what most people don't realize. When you're pumping gas into your car, you're not buying a simple product. You're buying the end result of an incredibly complex global supply chain. That gallon of gas started as crude oil, probably from Saudi Arabia, or Texas, or Venezuela, or one of dozens of other places around the world. It got extracted from deep underground. It got transported, maybe by pipeline, maybe by ship, thousands of miles. It went to a refinery where it got processed into gasoline. Then it got transported again to a distribution center. Then to your local gas station. Then into your tank. And here's the crucial part. At every single step of that journey, the price can change. Crude oil itself is traded on global commodity markets, which means its price changes constantly, not daily, not hourly. Every single second of every single trading day, crude oil prices are fluctuating. It's like the stock market, but for a physical product that the entire world economy runs on. When crude oil prices spike, even by a few dollars per barrel, that change ripples through the entire supply chain. And because gas stations operate on razor-thin profit margins, usually just pennies per gallon, they have to pass those costs along to you almost immediately. Think about it this way. Imagine you run a lemonade stand. You buy lemons from a supplier every morning. Usually they cost 50 cents each. But one morning you show up and suddenly lemons cost 75 cents. That's a 50% increase. You've already set your lemonade price based on 50-cent lemons. But now, if you keep that same price, you're losing money on every cup you sell. So what do? You raise your price immediately, because if you don't, you go out of business. That's what's happening at your local gas station. They're not trying to gouge you. They're trying to not lose money on every gallon they sell. But here's where it gets interesting. Crude oil prices don't just change because of supply and demand in the normal sense. They change because of something much more unpredictable: human psychology and geopolitics. The second reason gas prices are so volatile is what I call the speculation spiral. Now, I know what you're thinking. Speculation sounds like Wall Street nonsense, like something that doesn't affect regular people. But stay with me, because this is where things get really wild. See, crude oil isn't just bought and sold by companies that actually use it. It's also bought and sold by traders who never intend to take delivery of a single barrel. These traders are essentially betting on whether oil prices will go up or down in the future. And when thousands of traders are all making these bets simultaneously, their collective actions actually move the price. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy on steroids. Let's say there's political tension in the Middle East. Maybe there's a conflict brewing in a region that produces a lot of oil. Traders see this news. They think, oil supplies might get disrupted. Prices will probably go up. So they start buying oil futures, contracts that let them buy oil at today's price but receive it months from now. When lots of traders do this at once, the demand for these contracts goes up, which pushes the price of oil up. Right now, even though no actual supply disruption has happened yet, then other traders see the price going up. They think, wow, oil is rallying. I should buy too. More buying. Price goes higher. News outlets report that oil prices are spiking due to Middle East tensions. Regular people see this and think, I better fill up my tank before prices get worse. Suddenly, everyone's filling their tanks at the same time. Gas stations see increased demand. They raise prices. And here's the crazy part. Maybe the original Middle East tension resolves peacefully. Maybe nothing actually happens to oil supply. But the price already moved. Real money already changed hands. And you already paid more at the pump. This is why gas prices can spike when there's just the threat of supply disruption, not even an actual disruption. The oil market isn't just reacting to reality. It's reacting to what people think might happen, to fear, to uncertainty, to speculation. It's like if someone started a rumor that there might be a bread shortage next month. Even if it's not true, if enough people believe it and start hoarding bread, bread actually becomes scarce. Prices actually go up. That's the speculation spiral. And it happens constantly in the oil market. The third reason is what I call the refinery bottleneck. This one's particularly cruel because it shows how a problem in one part of the system can cause massive price swings for everyone. Remember how I said that crude oil has to get refined into gasoline? Well, there aren't that many refineries in the United States. And they're incredibly complex, expensive facilities that take years to build. Here's what makes this challenging. Refineries can't just instantly adjust their output. They run continuously. They're designed to process a certain amount of oil at specific rates. When a refinery goes offline for maintenance, or gets damaged by a hurricane, or has any kind of disruption, it creates an immediate shortage of gasoline. Not of crude oil, of the actual refined gasoline that goes in your car. And here's where basic economics kicks in with a vengeance. When supply drops but demand stays the same, prices spike. Think about concert tickets for a popular artist. If the venue holds 10,000 people and 50,000 people want tickets, what happens to the price? It skyrockets. Same thing with gasoline. Except you can't just decide not to go to work because gas is expensive. You still need to fill your tank. So when refinery capacity drops even just a few percentage points, gas prices can jump 10, 15, even 20%. And this happens more often than you might think. Summer hurricanes in the Gulf Coast, winter maintenance shutdowns, unexpected equipment failures, each one creates a temporary bottleneck that causes prices to surge. But here's what makes this even more insidious. Refineries are regionally distributed. So a refinery problem in the Gulf Coast might cause massive price spikes in the Southeast, while California prices barely budge. That's why you sometimes see news stories about gas prices varying wildly between different states or regions. It's not because one state is greedy and another isn't. It's because of where the refineries are located and which ones are having issues. The fourth reason is what I call the seasonal swing. This one surprises most people because it seems so arbitrary, but it has huge effects on prices. Did you know that the gasoline you buy in summer is literally different from the gasoline you buy in winter? It's true. Refineries produce different blends of gasoline for different seasons. Summer gasoline is formulated to evaporate less in hot weather. This reduces air pollution from fuel vapors, but it's more expensive to produce. Winter gasoline uses a cheaper blend that's fine in cold weather but would create too much pollution in summer heat. Every year around April and May, refineries switch from winter blend to summer blend. This transition period is expensive. Refineries have to essentially reconfigure their processes. The raw materials cost more. The refining process takes more steps. And guess what happens to gas prices during this transition? They spike, predictably, every single year. Then, in September and October, refineries switch back to winter blend, cheaper to produce. Prices often drop. But here's where it gets tricky. This seasonal pattern interacts with all the other factors we've talked about. If there's geopolitical tension during the summer switch, prices spike even higher. If a hurricane hits during the fall transition, you might not see the normal price drop. It's like a perfect storm, where multiple price pressures stack on top of each other. And most people have no idea this is happening. They just see prices going up and down and assume it's random or greedy. The fifth reason is what I call the margin squeeze multiplier. This one reveals something most people never think about. The relationship between wholesale prices and retail prices. Gas stations don't make much money selling gasoline. I'm talking about just a few cents per gallon in profit, sometimes less. The real money for gas stations comes from the convenience store inside. The sodas, the chips, the coffee, the lottery tickets. Gasoline is what gets you in the door. It's almost a loss leader. But here's the problem with operating on such thin margins. When wholesale prices change, even slightly, it has an outsized effect on whether the gas station makes money or loses money on each gallon. Let's say wholesale gasoline costs the station $3 per gallon. They sell it for $3.10. That's a 10-cent margin. Now wholesale prices jump to $3.20. If they keep selling at $3.10, they're losing 10 cents per gallon. So they have to raise their price immediately. Maybe to $3.35 or $3.40. To restore some margin. But here's where the multiplier effect comes in. When lots of gas stations are all facing the same wholesale price increase, they all raise prices at roughly the same time. You, the consumer, can't really shop around because everyone's prices went up together. And because gas is what economists call an inelastic good, meaning people still need it even when prices rise, stations know they can push prices up quickly without losing too many customers. This creates a ratchet effect. Prices go up fast when costs increase, but they come down slowly when costs decrease. Because station owners are trying to recover from periods when they were squeezed, they're trying to rebuild their margins. So you get this asymmetric volatility. Fast spikes, slow declines, even though wholesale prices might move symmetrically. It's not really greed. It's just the economic reality of operating a business with incredibly thin profit margins on your core product. But here's what nobody wants to admit about all of this. About the crude reality factor, the speculation spiral, the refinery bottleneck, the seasonal swing, and the margin squeeze multiplier. These aren't bugs in the system. They're features. This is where things get really interesting. And maybe a little uncomfortable. The volatility in gas prices isn't a mistake. It's not a failure of the market. In a weird way, it's the market working exactly as designed. See, prices are supposed to be signals. They're supposed to communicate information about scarcity, about demand, about value. When prices are stable and predictable, they're not very good signals. They don't tell you anything about whether something is becoming more scarce or more abundant. But when prices move dramatically, they're screaming information at you. High gas prices are telling you that gasoline is, in that moment, more scarce than usual. Maybe because of geopolitical tension. Maybe because of a refinery issue. Maybe because of seasonal demand. The high price is signaling you to change your behavior if possible, to consolidate trips, to consider alternatives, to use less. Low gas prices signal the opposite: plenty of supply. Use freely. This is what economists call price discovery, the process by which markets figure out what something should cost based on current conditions. But here's the uncomfortable truth that makes people angry. This system, for all its benefits to economic efficiency, is really hard on regular people just trying to live their lives. You can't easily change your behavior when gas prices spike. You still need to get to work. You still need to drive your kids to school. You still need to buy groceries. The price signal is theoretically useful, but practically painful. And, unlike big companies that can hedge against oil price volatility using complex financial instruments, You're just stuck paying whatever the price is on the day you need gas. It's a system optimized for efficiency, not for stability. For information, not for predictability. And that's why gas prices feel so unfair, even when no one is actually being unfair. Let me tell you about Marcus. Marcus drives about 40 miles each way to work. He's been doing this commute for 3 years now. Marcus fills up his tank twice a week, and every time he does, he checks the price first. If it's gone up since his last fill-up, he gets annoyed. Sometimes, really annoyed. He's convinced the gas stations are colluding, that they're all raising prices together to rip people off. So Marcus tries to be smart about it. He uses apps that track gas prices. He drives an extra few miles out of his way to save 5 cents per gallon. He tries to time his fill-ups for the days when prices seem to dip. But here's what Marcus doesn't realize. All that extra driving to save 5 cents per gallon? He's burning about a gallon of gas in the process, which costs him way more than he saves. The apps he's using to find cheap gas? They're usually showing outdated information. By the time he drives there, the price has already changed. And all the mental energy he's spending being angry about gas prices? It's not changing anything. It's just making him miserable. Marcus feels like he's being smart and taking control. But really, he's just spinning his wheels. Literally and figuratively. After 3 years of this, Marcus has spent hundreds of extra hours thinking about gas prices. He's driven thousands of extra miles chasing small savings. He's been in a bad mood 2 mornings a week, every week. And his gas spending is pretty much exactly what it would have been if he'd just filled up at whatever station was convenient. Now let me tell you about Rachel. Rachel also has a long commute. About the same distance as Marcus, actually. But Rachel thinks about gas prices completely differently. Rachel did something simple. She calculated her total annual spending on gas, about $3,000 per year. Then she asked herself a question. What if gas prices go up 20% this year? That would cost her an extra $600. Painful, but not catastrophic. So instead of trying to control gas prices, which she can't, Rachel focused on controlling what she could. She set up an automatic transfer of $50 per month into a separate savings account she calls her Volatility buffer. When gas prices spike, she uses money from this buffer to smooth out the impact. When prices are low, the buffer builds up. But here's the key insight. Rachel stopped thinking about gas prices day to day. She fills up wherever is convenient. She doesn't drive out of her way. She doesn't spend mental energy getting angry at the pump. She checks her volatility buffer once a month. If it's getting low, she might adjust her budget slightly. If it's building up, maybe she splurges on something fun. After 3 years, Rachel has spent maybe 6 hours total thinking about gas prices. She's driven 0 extra miles chasing savings. She's been in a good mood. And here's the interesting part. Rachel spent almost exactly the same amount on gas as Marcus over those 3 years. But Rachel's quality of life was dramatically better because she accepted the volatility instead of fighting it. She built a system instead of relying on willpower and constant vigilance. Marcus tried to beat the system. Rachel tried to accommodate it. Guess who's happier? Here's what most people don't realize. Gas price volatility isn't actually a gas problem. It's a financial resilience problem. The reason gas price swings hurt so much isn't because gas is expensive. It's because most people are operating without any buffer. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, when your budget is stretched thin, any unexpected expense or price increase feels catastrophic. But when you have some breathing room, when you've built even small financial buffers, volatility stops being a crisis and becomes just a thing that happens. The difference wasn't about Marcus being dumb and Rachel being smart. They're both intelligent people. The difference was that Marcus focused on controlling the uncontrollable. He fixated on the price itself. Rachel focused on controlling her response. She built resilience into her system. And here's the thing. This principle applies to so much more than just gas prices. Food prices fluctuate. Housing costs can change. Insurance premiums go up. Unexpected expenses pop up. Life is volatile. The economy is volatile. Prices are volatile. You can spend your energy being angry about that volatility and trying to perfectly optimize every purchase, trying to time the market on your groceries, stressing about every price change. Or you can accept that volatility exists, build some buffers into your financial life, and stop letting price fluctuations control your emotional state. The crude reality factor, the speculation spiral, The refinery bottleneck, the seasonal swing, and the margin squeeze multiplier aren't character flaws in the economy. They're predictable patterns that exist because of how global commodity markets work. You can't change these patterns, but once you understand them, you can stop feeling victimized by them. The question isn't whether gas prices will be volatile this year. They will be. That's essentially guaranteed. The question is whether you're going to build financial resilience to handle that volatility, or whether you're going to let every price swing at the pump determine your mood and waste your time. Because here's the real secret. The people who handle financial volatility well aren't the ones who never experience it. Everyone experiences it. They're the ones who built systems that absorb the shocks, who created buffers, who stopped trying to control the uncontrollable and started controlling their response instead. Gas prices are going to keep swinging. They always have, they always will. But whether that makes you miserable or not, that's entirely up to you.